Good evening. Hello and good evening, and welcome to the Siam Society, to another one of our lectures. I always have a bit of a stage fright introducing speakers, and this is very unique because I don't have trouble leading a discussion. It's just this introduction, giving introduction to distinguished academics and intellectuals, and I think this is because in this very room, each time there's a lecture, it's always something. Most of the time, it's always something new, something exciting, new ideas, new propositions, new discoveries from expeditions, from research, from everywhere around the world. And I think we're in a really privileged position here, being introduced to really new ideas and progress in academia. And we've had, I think since the beginning of this year, we've had really amazing, wonderful turnout. Almost weekly lectures, really unusual. We're very grateful for the wonderful responses. But because of this, our administrative team have asked me to forward some important messages. And message number one is that we encourage you to make reservations beforehand. And this actually has a lot to do with health and safety, because as you could see, this room fits around 65 people. And once we reach 70 and beyond that, it feels a bit overcrowded. And with just one functioning elevator, it might be a bit difficult in case of evacuation. And so what we like to do is that if we know how many people would turn up, and if that number reaches around 60, 65, we'll relocate the lecture to the auditorium, as we would usually do if that is the case. But we could only do that if we know the numbers beforehand. So please make sure to reserve beforehand. Takes time. Message number two is please put your phone into silent mode. This is because we make recordings of the lecture for future distribution and archival purposes. And this means that if there's an unwanted audio in the recording, someone needs to go and edit it out. So it would save us a lot of editing process, or reduce the process of editing for people behind the scene. So on to our lectures today. Ajahn Saranpat, or Dr. Saranpat Boonhok. I've known him since it's been more than a decade now. I think we met at the Faculty of Arts at Chulalongkorn Universities. He was majoring in Thai literature. That was back in early 2010s. And from then on, he continued in master's degrees at the same university at the Faculty of Arts, also in Thai literature, while also working as a lecturer at Rajapat Sunsudanta University at the Faculty of Education, teaching young aspiring teachers and educators Thai literature. And just around the start of the pandemic, he went to London for his PhD at SOAS, University of London, under the supervision of none other than Ajahn, the amazing, dearly beloved Ajahn Rachel Harrison. And he's back now, pursuing his career in academia as assistant professor already. Right. To me, as the host of this lecture, what I find very interesting about today's content is that it would, at the very least, I think it would help us see how the study of literature is expanding. It has been expanding for a few years now, but with the introduction of new form of distribution of text, in this case the internet, academia is now catching up and expanding its interests. So originally from traditional forms of textual distribution, that is in the form of books or paper distribution, now also digital. I think as you see, Ajahn Bob, as I would call him, Ajahn Saranpat, has done lots of research about literature that is not, well, that's actually from the internet and in the form that 20 years ago wouldn't be considered literature. And so I hope that the lecture today would perhaps inspire us to think about the definition of what constitutes literature, what it means to write, and what it means to forms written and textual cohesive piece of writing with beautiful languages, but perhaps not in the form of paper, right? With no further ado, please join me in welcoming Dr. Saranpat Boonhok นะครับผม to the podium. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Phirapat, for the warm and very kind introduction, and bring me back to the memory 10 years ago about as a student, it's Jula, and now the career path, and now I just complete my PhD thesis last December, so it's very recent study. And as Dr. Phirapat introduced me, this work is based on my PhD project, and my PhD project is talking about the literature, the reinvention of the Thainess or Thai identity that's recreated after the 2006 coup d'etat, after the overthrow of Thaksin, and we see the long decade longs of polarization in Thailand. Is not only in the politics but also in terms of in personal relationships that we you have yellow shirt or red shirt, that is make many conflicts from the politics into the personal. And I grow up and see this kind of trend along with the very intensive of the globalization and very the growth of internet and digital medias, and I try to bring it together and become my thesis. So this is a part of one chapter I looking on in the Thai internet literature, and this one is based on my presentation I gave in Seattle in AAS conference last year. So the Serving the Kingdom and Fandom, the Reinvention and Hybridisation of the Ramakien in Thai internet literature. So as you see, you can see from this picture is a capture from the Joylada application. You can see some familiar features, right? Like cone. You can see some kind of cone and green marks, right? And you can see some kind of something that's the Korean pop star idol, and you can see some kind of Japanese manga put together. I think it's very fascinating, isn't it? It's very, you can have something like from the traditional Thai and something that very new, recent from the Korean, Korean thing, Korean idol and the Japanese manga together. So I think, so today I will talk and try to explore and how, what is, what a issue that we can discuss about this. So today I would have three main sections I would like to give. So start from, give some basic of the Thai Ramakien that you in the room. You may know a lot about the Ramakien because you Thailand, a lot of things in Thailand represent to the Ramakien or Khon dance or something like that. But I would like to introduce you move from the official version to do some kind in the popular culture and take you to explore for the fandom, for the internet, and we talk about, and the second one I will go to the hybridity. So how is hybrid mixing together, and how does it mean or connote to the audiences. And the last section, I will give you one cross reading, yes, from the literature's field. We do some kind of cross reading to the text. So I will give you one cross reading, trying to put the text into the social and cultural context and politics context in the 2010s decade. And we'll jump to the conclusion later. So start from the Thai Ramakien. I think if you hear here, you may, when you see the advertisement, you may see, oh, I know of the Ramakien, I know about this, but because I think Thai Ramakien is one of identity. I think it's become one part of Thai national identity, even if it's come from India. It actually is rooted from India, but become a national identity of Thailand nowadays. And Ramakien is not treated as a foreign literature, but become a national literature. Ramakien, and you may know it as the honor of the Rama or Phra Ram. And the Ramakien is closely related and linked to the Thai kingship. And a Thai king is as the Phra Ram or Rama. You can see, as you see, in many roses in Bangkok, Rama first, Rama the second, and the bridges, and many things. Because Thai king, as the Phra Ram or Rama, is avatar of Vishnu or Narayan. And you can see the Rama is closely related to the kingship from the very long periods. It's traced back to like Sukhothai period, like King Ram Kamheng, or in the Ayutthaya is very very obvious because Ayutthaya is a city of Phra Ram or Rama, and the king names in Ayutthaya is mostly King Rama, Thipadi, the first, the second, Baba. Even in nowadays, we call the king Rama the first, the second, and Rama 10 to the Bangkok era. And the Ramakien is a royal court literature and performance related to Ramakien. Like they have a cone, and in the Grand Palace have the mural painting and many cross drama and many things about this. And as is the national identity, so I think it's one part of national curriculum for the education is to continue this kind of sense of pride and proud of this. So Ramakien is one of the national literature as selected in the Thai school textbook for every era. And nowadays it's the current curriculum. In the year 6, students have to learn this chapter. And another one in the year 8. So it's selected at the cover picture of the textbook. And so Ramakien is appear in the national curriculum and school textbook. So every student in Thailand have to learn about this. So it's part of the channel list of this of the country, and it's become part of education. So they have a lot of version that's to serve for the kids. You see, nowadays they have a lot of, because of the students have to learn, and they have many tools or many device to help students to learn. So they have a lot of version of picture books, comics on children literature that's adapted from the Ramakien in different versions. So for example, like this is a comic book, and this is I think is a picture book, and to narrate the story to make the student to learn and to understand clearly about the story, because it's mostly is a poetry, and the language is very difficult in the text, in the official text that the students have to learn. So this kind of thing that helps students to learn. So you can see this move from the national, from the royal court to the student, from the children, and then in around 2000 they have another new media emerge as internet. Nowadays, it's not new anymore, right? Everyone connect and you have your internet and your mobile phone. But back around 20 or 30 years ago, the internet is very new, and they have a lot of, and that time, have a few websites that, for children, for the youth to use it. And around that time, they have one website emerged. It's called Dek-D. Dek-D is literally mean the good children. Dek-D, and that site is the website for the children, for the teenager to share, for example, for the information to go to the university to admission and the kind of lifestyle for the teenager. And that site they have one section about the novel, and I think it's become it's a birth of the internet literature because it's become more and more popular, and nowadays they not only Dek-D, they have a lot of platform like Read-A-Write, Joylada, and so on, and at that time they have Pantip as well, and around in the last decade they have they have a extreme change of the technology is the decline or death of the print media, especially the magazine. In the past, the literature or the novel, they circulate in the magazine. And last decade, the magazine died. So the writer have to move from the print media to the online media. So it's made it speed up the way to consume and to create, consume the literature. And I think internet literature is very important it's different in many sense from the print media. I think the first thing is age of the writer and reader, because this site is start for teenager, for student, right? So the author is very young, and they write the story for their groups. So and next, the theme. In the past, they have a lot of theme about like fantasy or adult fantasy, and lots of maybe the horror, but it's mostly linked to the very adult for the adult. But for internet, they have a lot of theme that can emerge for fantasy for teenager. They have a lot. And that time, they have a Harry Potter, The Lord of the Ring, and a lot of popular fantasy story around the globe, and they merge it together. And then the process of writing and reading is very important. I think it's a key change because it's democratize the writing and reading. Because in the past they have an editorial process. You have to send the manuscript, and then editor have to select, and then you can become the print book after you select it. But for this one, it's a free space that you can write or you can do anything. So I think this context is shaped, and I think it can understand why some kind of literature that I will talk later in the later slide that will happen. For the Ramakien, interestingly, even if they have a lot of globalization or the globalized trends, the Ramakien remain the key material for the internet writers. And they have I think they have this some study article that I read that the Ramakien is the most popular literature that adapted in the science and internet, and strongly linked to the young writer interests such as Japanese manga, K-pop cultures, and they have a different genre in the Ramakien. For example, they have a BLs. Nowadays, BLs or Y or DIY for the boys' love story is very popular among Thai, new generation and around the globe. And this one is become a popular trope on the internet literature. Fan fiction. Fan fiction is the fiction that you have if you are a fan club of some one of K-pop idol or any idol, you use them as a reference and to write it and to merge it in the new story. And the chat literature I will give you in the next slide. So you can see it, and this is kind of cover photo of the book that I think you can see that this is from Ramakien, and for example, this one is หัวใจทศกัณฐ์ the heart of Ravana or heart of Tosakan. You can see Tosakan is antagonist, but you can see the photo is different, it's completely different from the original version, right? And if you see this one, what you see? If you see Lisa, Lisa Blackpink, and you can align with Hanuman together in this one, and the story Ramayana, Lalisa x Ramayana. So the story that Lisa is jump into the Ramakien story and become part of the story of Ramakien. And this one is หัวใจทศกัณฐ์ is the one that I will talk and analyze later. It become like, look like the K-pop idol. So this kind of new spaces that happen, and I think this and a new form that I think is very interesting and very fascinating me is about the chat literature. If you see, you have lie. Thai people, popular application is a lie, right? And they use a lie to make a platform of the writing and reading. So it means this is Joylada, the application for the chat literature. So if you want to read this story is หลงมิติไปอยู่ในโลกรามเกียรติ to how to translate is to cross the world into the Ramakien world. And it's talk about, and if you want to read it, what will happen? You click it here, the app to read it. And then what will happen is appear to you, it's like a dialogue. And this dialogue come to later, and you read one speaking and another one speaking, and you, as a reader, you read other people's chat. You just read and you try to understand what happened with the chat. So this kind of new form of literature, and it's actually even a new form. This Ramakien is one of the story that they use to create a new story. And I think that if you see from the picture, you can see the different kinds of how to say, it's like hybridization. And today I would like to use framework for hybridity from the Homi Bhabha, from the postcolonial theorists, to try to read this phenomenon. In short, Homi Bhabha keyword is about when the culture from different culture come together to mix together. It's not only mixing, but he tried to argue that the mixing, the process of mixing and hybridization is create a new space that's called the third spaces. The third space that makes something that similar but not the same. If you see from the picture that I show you, you can see that they have something that's familiar you, but something is new. But you feel like, it's Ramakien, but something is not. So, yes, for the Baba, this is a very interesting and very important space, because it's not only the mixing space, but it is space of the contestation and negotiation power. It means the power relation between, from the official Thai version, mixing and negotiate and contests with a new form of the culture that form the external. So I think that we will talk in the following slides. And how to read it. And I think it's very new, because in the past as a literary scholar, we have been trained to do course reading. But the course reading is mean to read a particular text. But a lot of literature produced on the internet, and when I search Ramakien on the website, there's like a huge amount of story appear to me, and it's very difficult to read all of the story. So I try to find a way that mixing how to read it. I use the keywords of hyper reading, surface reading with the paratext. But I think for some text, I think it's choose to close reading time to read and interpret it. So I will give you for the how to I read it หัวใจทศกัณฐ์ in the last section of today. For the main argument I make for this presentation, I would like to say argue that the Ramakien recreated on the internet presents the hybridization of Thainess or Thai identity between Thai literature and globalized phenomenon although these stories are likely to challenge the meaning of the Thainess, it resonates with the notion of protecting Thainess, especially by internationalizing it. And for the story I choose about หัวใจทศกัณฐ์ Khai Hun, is connected to the atmosphere in the Thailand in the early 21st century as the novel empowers the marginalized groups and emphasize on the polarized conflict and social reconciliation. So to demonstrate my argument, I'd like to show you how I read it. As I told you, I have like the way to read it. I have a hyper surface reading along with I use this kind of like hyper reading for Snorsky, Catherine Hales, and surface reading and paratext. So what I did for this work, I went to the website, two main websites, Dek-D and Joylada. And then I try to search it first from the keyword about that, right? Ramakien, Hanuman, Tosakan. I search it and I try to see it. Try to see what the broad sense of this, and try to capture the sense of why and how it resonate the meaning to us, to me, and then reading and interpreting. So from this process, I found four perspectives from the hybridization of the Ramakians. The four perspectives: one, media; the second one, a nation; the third one, institution; and the fourth one is time. The first one, media. What does it mean? When reading on the internet, it shows that the literature, if you think about the literature, you have a paper and you read it, you have on the print book, and you read it, and they have a lot only text. But for the internet literature, it's not. They have a lot of media on one pages, and when you try to read it, for example, to read on the novel, the web novel that is in the paragraph, you have many hyperlinks to go to see the MV of the story, to see the song, and to reference to other sources. So they have a lot of mixing of hybridization of the media in the literature text. Some of my finding they find static photo as the cover photo. They have some song and clips to the YouTube put together in the same pages, and when you read it, they have some kind of this come together, and they have emoji or sticker. And especially for the Joylada, the chat one that I told you, is demonstrate the hybridity of form, since it's deployed a medium of digital communication through chat. So the literature, as from this one, is not as a paragraph, it's become like a chat, and it reminds me to the drama play in the past that we have the dialogue of the ones talking to each other, and it's implied that when the story become in the new media, I think for me it's implies that the story is an own version. It tries to hybridize the Ramakien with the contemporary features, use the contemporary songs, photos, or anything that the media that they liked to use, and reflect that the interest of the writer themselves. And for the second one, the nation. The hybridization of the nation, I think, is very interesting and very important one, because in the past when we talk about Ramakien, mostly Thai children they think about that is a Thai, it's very old-fashioned sometimes. But when you see in this kind of picture like Lisa or Jungkook or anyone that you can imagine about this, it can appear together. So hybridization of transnational culture, especially, I think it can reflect the huge influence of the East Asian popular culture to this generation. And in the past, maybe for the generation before that, maybe for the Hollywood, for the Western, but nowadays it shows the huge influence to this kind of popular culture. And one thing that I found that when we talk about the Ramakien, the thing that's repeated a lot and how to show that this still be a Ramakien is khwam. If you see the khwam marks, it still be in many and or try to put it to show that it still form the Ramakien, form their own story. But you try to make it in the cartoon like here, right? So I think the khwam is become like most profound element to make it still be still like Ramakien, and it keep the two side. One thing I think is when we is talk, it show there's the writer sometimes want to protect it as the literary legacies of the nation. And when I read many texts, they say that I think when I read the Ramakien, it's very interesting, but many people feel it's boring. I try to make it for the people to to easily access to it. So I think they have sense of this. The student or the writers who write in this way, they try to protect and to to make it continue in the contemporary society, and how to make it still alive in the world is to modernizing it by globalizing it as well. So I think it's a very interesting one. And the third one is institutions. As I told you, Ramakien is part of educational curriculum, right? And as part of the school textbook. So students learn about this in the school, and they know about this story. And many adaptations that I found on the internet, they try to use the internet. They try to make this to easily access to students to read it, to understand what the teacher teach in their classroom. So many adaptations of the Ramakien refer back to institutional knowledge in the education textbook. Scene from the textbook repeatedly appear compared to the scene that is not referenced in the textbook. No one knows and not popular. Even the scene that, for example, like Narai Pap Non Tok is very popular every Thai know about this, so very popular and recreated a lot from this scene. And many characters, for example, Hanuman, Tosakan, Sida, still be popular characters, but in contrast to kind of very minor one that is not from the selected scene, is quite disappear from the new recreation. So I think this become even they try to use a new model or new story. They refer back to institutional knowledge, and especially for khwam is linked to official knowledge about the Thai culture as well. And the last one is about the time, the crossover between notion of time and space. When I try to understand the logic of the story, of this kind of adaptation, they have, and I found that they have two main plot how to link the Ramakien and the contemporary world. The first one is to use the traveling to the protagonist or the people, the character in the real world, jump into the literary world, like as I told you about Lisa, jump into the Ramakien, or even for the character from the Ramakien, jump into the contemporary world. And they make the funny, and you have the kind of a new conflict, and make the mission they have to complete. The second one is linked to the logic of reincarnation or samsara. So it's maybe the contemporary character, the past life they are Toscan or Sida, and now they're reborn to become a new person. So they have I think this story is the crossover between the time and space, between the literary space and the real world space, and the time of the modern time and the traditional time together. So I think this kind of way to how they link and how to make sense of it. So I think this is a new possibility how to make the world of the character from the literary and the real world to meet to each other. Okay, let's move to another section. I give you a broad, and when I try to look for the broad sense, how to make sense of hybridization of Ramakien. So let's move to the last section that I try to cross reading. I found this story is very fascinating. It's called หัวใจทศกัณฐ์ไข่หุ่น หัวใจทศกัณฐ์ the heart of the Toscan or heart of Ravana. And Kai Hun, who is it? I will tell you. This is a story it's about a web novel from Dek-D entitled หัวใจทศกัณฐ์ไข่หุ่น or Heart of Toscan. It's composed by Holy Space during the 2016 to 18. It's almost 80,000 views in total and more than 3,000 followers, and they have lots of comments, and then become from is a cover photo in the web version and turn to be like an ebook version on map. And what is Kai Hun mean? This one I will call HT is a fanfic. It's from the EXO. It's a fan fiction. Use the EXO called what Kai and Hun. Kai is from Kim Jong-un and Sehun, Oh Sehun, who is a shipping, and we call it shipping or cool ship or ship imagine relationship, imagine couple. That the fan club, they think that they have a spatial relationship. This couple, and then the fan of this band of the EXO want to rewrite the relationship. They reference back to the Ramakien. They use the Kai Hun as a reference and mix it and hybrid with the Ramakien. What the story talking about? HT is about the main characters from Ramakien, which are Tosakan, Sita, Phra Ram, who live in the contemporary world. Sita was reborn as a young man named Prematat or Prem. He invited to become a Khon dancer, playing a Sita role in the new interpretation of the Khon performance entitled The Heart of Tosakan or Haritai Tosakan. This show is owned by Thot, the current name of Tosakan, who is now a successful businessman and the owner of the performance. While Thot becomes the protagonist, the story exposes Ramen or the Rama names of the changing the ending sound to become the Ramen or Phra Ram as an antagonist. Ramen is the business rival of Tos and compete with him to win Prem's heart. The main plot of the story is a romance, is the competition between two men to win one man's love, with a support from other characters who derive from the Ramakien like Intarashit, Pipek, Palak, Hanuman, Monto. And then finally, who win? Finally, Thot and Prem or Sita marry and have their own children. It means Prem can pregnant as a man, and he can pregnant and have their own children. And the battle between Phra Ram and Tosakan concludes and stop their competition, and they stop the will of to fight to each other and become friends instead of enemy and forgive the past. And you can see it's refer to traditional story, but this new story is very I think it's challenging in one way. They change what they change the role of Phra Ram. That's I start with the role of Phra Ram is linked to the kingship and linked to the I think divine status something. And moreover, this picture I captured from the website. It shows how the Tosakan and Sita look like. And this one is a Tosakan in this version. And this one is a Sita in this version. If you compare from the traditional picture, this is a Tosakan. The ugly is a demon king. And now He become the very and young and successful businessman, and he very, is very charming person. And Sita changing from the woman to man. And I think it's very important why I highlight this kind of appearance, because this one, what fascinating me about the body, how this body represent the body, because in the past, in the traditional Thai literature, body is very important and signify a lot of meaning. You can see they have a lot of prose that for the main protagonist, they are the divine being. They have a beautiful and perfect characters, and because the perfect character is come along with bun or merit or the good, the high status. On the other hand, like Tosakan, they have nowadays term maybe disability or this kind of ugly or this kind of abnormal body. But for the story, I think it's very interesting because it shifts, hybridize between the traditional body of Thai hero and fan preachers, and this kind of aesthetics is disrupt the perception of good and bad that's embedded in the Thai culture, and they give a new definition that is not. It's Tosakan not to be the bad because they're ugly. He is ugly because all the characters are beauty and they are perfect, body, and become Tosakan in this sense can be equal as Phra Ram as well. So the character, the body is not make the story, is not the the element to make the protagonist and antagonist different. And what is differentiate between them is about the true love. It's about the mind that this story in the หัวใจทศกัณฐ์ the story try to prove that Tosakan is not he is not have the bad mind anymore. He tried to prove the true love to the Prem, to the Sita in this life. On the other hand, Ramayana is very jealous, and he have tried to plot many bad thing and bad consequences to win Prem heart. So this story is shift to mind, not body, to mind and goodness of Tosakan is shown from true love to Sita, and Phra Ram is present in the opposite way. So I think it's very interesting to read it at the decentering or decenter. That story in the past is the center of the story of the Ramakien. In the past is center revolve around Phra Ram, while Tosakan become like marginalized, if you say it that way. At the same time, this story is empower Tosakan to become from the antagonist to become the protagonist and become like the true hero as well. And the ending, I think, is very interesting. It's about from the love and forgiveness to reconciliation and unity. In the traditional story, Ramakien, Phra Ram wins Tosakan. But from this story, Tosakan wins. But the win or losing is not, no matter who win. But at the end, they try to highlight that they can be a friend. They can be a friendship together. Phra Ram, at the end of this story, I think he ordained as a Buddhist monk, and he tried to forgive and to new starting. And the ending of the story say that whatever the past was, friend or enemy, the present is more important for letting go and stopping with the dharma of the forgiveness. Forgiveness or การให้อภัย has become the key message of the story. So it's not only challenge the story from the body, from the challenge from the traditional story to become the BL story. It challenged the theme traditional plot that serve for the Phra Ram. It ends with the theme of unity and forgiveness of the enemy. So I think it challenges the traditional plot and respond to the contemporary conflict. What the conflict I mentioned, if you see, this story is writing in around 2010s, and they have a lot of conflict of the yellow shirt, red shirts, and they have a lot of protests, the PDRC, GOPPSO on the coup d'etat in 2014. And that time, the society tried to find a way to reconciliation, to find a social reconciliation, and try to, and I found that not only this story, many versions in the film, animation film, they send the same message that we try to complete, or we try to march to the war for the long time. So why we can't be friends or let it go and forgiveness? So my interpretation of the story, I try to read against this kind of the backdrop of the story. So I think the embodiment of the female and male character and can resonate to the polarization between two. I try to read that Phra Ram and Tosakan become like two is polarized in two poles, and try to find a way to win each other. And at the end, the story try to stop the wheel of the war and become like unity, and become a battle, love, sacrifice, and protection. So I think this core of thing is become like is tell the context in the 21st century Thailand, as they have a challenges of monopolizing. In the past, Thainess or Thai identity is very top down and very static. It's from the definition from the state. But in the 2 or 3 decades until now, they have a lot of new voices to voice. For example, like LGBT, they have a marginalized group tied to voice they want, and they have a traditional culture to disrupt the national culture. So this kind of thing try to to reconstruction, and I try to read this as this story. So for the conclusion, if what I mentioned about, you can see they have a lot of hybridization, the story. And if we see the adaptation of the Ramakien on the internet literature, it illustrates what the Baba called the third space, where various features are mixed. And it leads to the in-between situation, is which not authentic, is not original, and not pure sentiment, because this kind of sense are challenged. And this space, as you see, the Lisa and Ramakien and BL become like Tosakan and Vikai Hun, this kind of thing. This space where notion of old and new are negotiated for make a new sense of the story in the contemporary society. And I think it's on one way, even the Thainess from the top down is disrupt, but some sense of Thainess, of Thai identity among youth try to protect in a new way, and what the way that they want. A way of protecting Thainess among Thai youth by hybridizing modernity and identity, and make sense of it during the globalized period by mixing the local things with the transnational cultures. And for HT, or Huachai Tosakan, is not challenging the traditional of the Ramakien by turning it into the BL or boys' love story, but also disturbing the convention revolving around Phra Ram. And HT shifts the central role from the Phra Ram to the periphery, and then move Tosakan to the center, and highlight the role of pure love over the conflict and end with the forgiveness. This resonates with the empowerment of marginalized groups in Thailand and the notion of social reconciliation by forgiving the past and moving forward. And this is all of my lecture tonight. And if you want to read more, they have this is my thesis that they contain more chapters that they have a lot of story, not only the Ramakien, but as I told you, it's about the hybridizing narration, the reinvention and embodiment of Thainess in the Thai literature after 2006. And this one is a paper as I analyze, and if you want to read more and try to make sense of it, what would happen to the story like HT, you can go to this paper as well as all the open access and you can access free. And I think hope you enjoy my talk and I hope you I'm looking forward to hear the discussion or question you may have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ajahn Pop. We have two BL fans at the back squeaking in silence as the lecture proceeds. We have some time for some time for questions, please. Questions? ครับผม
Thank you very much for interesting lecture. I would like to know what kind of viewer and what kind of reader of Dek. I mean, I would like to know gender or age or this basic information.
You mean you want to know the whole audience of this story?
Yeah, who is a reader or who is a viewer of these contents, Dek?
Okay. The content, the view of the reader to the text that the comment or this type of thing, right? I understand you.
Yeah,
okay.
I think so.
Yeah. So when I read to the comments of the story that I use, they have a lot of for example, most of the reader of the fan fiction, who the main audience, the fan club of that of the couple that they use, for example, like Kai Hun. So when they read it, they find it very interesting, and they have like Greece or very interesting or very Fin is mean is very happy to see what is very interesting. So the comment is quite positive, and when they combine it together with the story of the Ramakien, is make the writer is more, you have a lot of resourceful, you have a very creative plot and quite positive, but if thing in the opposite, because this comment and this story is on the internet, is allow this kind of story happen, and this kind of make the communities of the reader to join together with the same or the similar interest. But I want you to ask that if this become like on the mainstream media, on the television, on like or maybe on the official version, I think it become the controversial one, right? Mm-hmm. And I think they have around that time of the story, they have like the one version of the Kiel Thai Mi He or Thailand in Awesome is you the Ramakien wearing the character who wear the cone mask and go to ride a go-kart or to make a khanom krok or something like that. It become like controversy because they think that it's not ไม่เหมาะสม inappropriate to use this in the new form. So I hope that I answer your question, and I want to make that I think it's internet is make a new way to make some kind of new pressure and make this kind of positive comments as well. Yep.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Very good, very interesting question. Yep.
Thank you. Well, หัวใจทศกัณฐ์ Kim Hun.
Kai Hun.
Well, when the Thais hear Kim Hun, do they get the implication of social reconciliation? If so, then why? I wonder. Kai Hun or Kim Hun or whatever it is, but
so it means how it's interpreted to that
right.
way.
I mean, หัวใจทศกัณฐ์ it sounds fine, but Kim Hun, you see, the ties to the ears of the Thai people. Does it give any implication of social reconciliation?
I think it's not directly linked to social reconciliation for the title of the name, the Kim Hun or Kai Hun. I think that the way that they try to make it to attract the fan of the Kai Hun to read it.
But you know that Kai Hun means Kim and Hun. I mean the Thai people.
No.
Well, anyway, never mind. And another thing is, well, is there how many titles like หัวใจทศกัณฐ์ Kai Hun in
on the
your study? I mean, is that it must not be the only story you are talking about?
Yes.
Is it the only story or?
Yes, for my study, I used only one case study for the close reading. But for the trope of story about the Tosakan, Kai Hun, the same trope, is a lot of hundreds of story about this kind of trope that uses, the reinvention or rebirth or become like kind of, become a man, become this kind of trope. They have a lot of story, and when I try to read it, it's the same and quite a similar trope. Yeah.
Well, but you did not mention anything about Japanese manga.
Okay. In the Japanese manga, right? Yes. Actually, I focused mostly in this story, in this study. I focus on the Korean one, because the text that I use is mostly influenced from the K-pop idol. But the Japanese manga, I think, is very obvious in terms of the cartoon or the picture that they use. So yes, you're right. So I didn't mention a lot about the Japanese manga for my analysis. So I mostly focus on the Korean one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, by the way, I am a Korean.
Oh. 감사합니다. 감사합니다.
Thank you for your lecture tonight. I'm curious about your study seems to focus on the influence of this literature in Thailand. I'm wondering if you ran across any influence of this on other countries like Korea and Japan. I assume that if this is in Thai, maybe it's limited to Thailand, but I'm just curious if there's like a cross-cultural, given that they're using K-pop stars and the Japanese icons and so on, whatever.
Yeah. Thank you for the question. So this kind of trend is quite shared in Southeast Asia, actually, and especially for the Korean wave. It's very important, and in my thesis, I demonstrate how the K-pop influenced Southeast Asia. Southeast Asia is one of the most region that consume the Korean wave. The most of the audience around the world is in Southeast Asia, in Thailand, Indonesia, Singapore, and another region that I think is the huge audiences is Latin America, right? And I found they have some trend to try to use it, and I found on the media. They have a lot of media like they have a cover dance, they have a lot of cartoon or themes that on Southeast Asian film or media that use the same trend of the Korean wave to become like part of their culture. And I think from my existing knowledge about the internet literature in China and Vietnam, from the literature that I I review, I found that in China they have some trend of the writer nowadays. They moved from the print media to on the internet, and the internet literature in China is very huge industry. And nowadays they have a lot of writer and reader, and it's a big thing in China. And for the Vietnam, for the Vietnamese writer, in the past when we talk about the Vietnamese writer, we normally about theme of the Vietnam War, about the war, about this type of thing. But the recent research show that in the new generation, they move to this kind of thing, to move to the internet literature, and they use kind of the thing that they like to compose a new aesthetic, and I think a new story, a new theme. And I think this kind of spaces is make new theme, new idea or something that's possible. Even if I mentioned China and Vietnam, they are communist country, but from the study they show that it's very very free and very imaginative spaces. Thank you.
Thanks a lot for your lecture. One question a little bit beyond this story in particular. Is there many narratives of the Ramakien included in the Thai culture, or what drives this connection between the Thai identity and such an old story as the Ramakien? Is this normally promoted by the government, like it's more like top-down, or is also the bottom-up, like people taking this story to represent something, to have different narratives? I mean, maybe as a foreigner, I don't know how it is. Maybe I don't know if it's obvious for Thai people, but just curious about that.
Yeah, so it's a good question actually. Ramakien actually is, as I mentioned, is promoted by the government, but it's not only the one version that we know in the Thai society. Actually, Ramakien is part of the folklore and the folk life as well. I think in all regions in Thailand, in the north, in the Isan, or in the south, they have their own version of Ramakien. They have a Nitan Palak Palam, or tale of Palak Palam. They have in the northern, they have some kind of Promachak, or they have this kind of local literature related to Ramakien that's different from the national story. I think it's very fascinating because when talk about Ramakien, we taking it as the national literature from the central, from the Bangkok, but actually it's part of their daily life. And I found that in some recent study about Ramakien, in the folklore study, Dr. Ratanapon, he studied about how Phra Ram, Hanuman become the spirit of the guardian, become a god, and become the spirit child, become like a guardian that people go to place as like เจ้าพ่อ เจ้าแม่ or just become like one of God, the local god as well. So it's very interesting that Ramakien is not only in official version we learn from the school, but in the daily life, but actually is happier. And nowadays they have a lot of souvenir. Go to Thailand, they have some become part of commercial one to how to promote the soft power of Thailand, how to promote the Thai identity. Oh, Ramakien, the cone part of it, and many shops that use this kind of elements to become like to make it cute and make it too easy to sell it. Thank you. Okay, thank you.
No, I mean Ramakien. You see, the whole story is illustrated along the gallery of the temple of the Emerald Buddha.
Mm-hmm.
And I first saw those paintings. I was surprised because I expected to see scenes from the Jataka tales, like previous life stories of Buddha or the life story of the Buddha. But then, it's the story of Ramakien all along the gallery surrounding the temple of the Emerald Buddha, and that was rather interesting to me. I mean, they caricaturize the Thais, Tosakan and Hanuman very much, but then You see, the kingship here is idealized by Rama. You see, so I think it's for the general public. You know, the characters like Tosakan and Hanuman must be very interesting to make embellishment of their characters according to their likings. You know, including putting them in conjunction with the Korean idol.
Yes,
rather,
of course.
interesting, and they can do it because those two characters are very popular, but nothing to do with the kingship of Thailand, right? Thank you.
Thank you to make it. Actually, in Thai, as you observation is right. Most of adaptation, when they recreated, they try to put two character to become a rival, Tosakan and Hanuman. As you mentioned, I completely agree that because of the Phra Ram, Rama is quite idealized and linked to the kingship, and is quite have sensitive in some sense in Thai society. So they try to but Hanuman, I think he is lively character, right? So they can do something that they have good and bad. They have I think that it's very represent the hero in Thai literature as well, because the hero in Thai literature not very perfect man. They have a sense of bad or womanizer or something like that as well, right? So I think it's there is embodied in Hanuman. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Hello, thank you for your lecture. I have one question. What's the attitude of the younger generation to the original piece, the original Ramakien? Seems like in their TikToks and their new pieces of literature, fan fiction, they use the aesthetics of Ramakien, but they don't use the moral from the original piece or the main values that are presented in the literature. What's their attitude to the moral side of Ramakien itself?
Well, it's difficult to generalize what they view, but from my experience as a teacher to teach a student university student, I found that sometimes they think that some value that's embedded in the classical literature, especially in Thai literature, as out of date and is outdated. For example, they have one scene that selected in the literature. It's called Narai Prap Nontok. It's the scene that Narai become a Phra Ram, reborn avatar as a Phra Ram to suppress Nontok, who next become Tosakan. And it's the story, the origin of the story why they have to martial war to each other. And this one, in the past, we can read it as a story that the good to overcome the badness. But nowadays they have a lot of sense of bullying, and they have bullying or cultural diversity, inclusiveness, or some kind of this. And this story is rereading as the bullying of the people who have a power to suppress the marginalized people. And then in some sense they feel like, yes, it's real. Or this value is still be, try continue with the society. So they have, I think another example is very obvious about the Vesantara Chateau. It's to abandon the children and the wives and nowadays the student, it can be, can do this way or blah blah blah. So they have this kind of discussion. But I think is even they have I think it's a way to learn the literature. Is you not need to agree all of the value or the things that you read, but I think it's good for the teacher nowadays to start the conversation and try to link it into the contemporary world and try to make it reflect it to the real life as well. Thank you.
Thank you for the questions. We actually have a small token of appreciation, a tradition here for Ajahn Popนะครับผม Please, just 1 second. I'll take that.